like a United Nations, except it's not a United Nations in the sense that it has a political agenda. The Andromedan Council, as a body, their sole purpose is to facilitate evolvement of all life in the galaxy. And that's really what their goal is to allow all life forms to evolve on their own without manipulation. Obviously that's not occurring here on Earth. And we're not the only ones. This is occurring on 22 other planets in our galaxy. But the other planets are not stuck in the muck that we are, to the degree that we are here. And this is a major concern for them, because we're not moving in a direction that we should be moving. There are elements here that are definitely holding us back. And because Earth has become this real prize, and not only Earth, but us as well. So I'm getting off a little bit. Okay. I want to stay with your questions.
So its overall goals then are to elevate the spirituality of all life forms in their own particular ways.
Evolutionary ways, right. That they evolve according to the degree of their consciousness.
Now, how and why was it first brought into existence, the Andromedan?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I do know that it was formed. It was formed shortly after the Orion Wars, which was a huge war that lasted 600,000 years in our galaxy. And it was predominantly between the humans, the human race, of which there's all kinds of humans, hundreds of billions of humans, and those of reptilian races that do coexist in our galaxy.
Now,
there was no winner, by the way. Apparently both sides got so tired of killing each other, they just kind of just stopped, and a undeclared truce was formed. And I know in Orion, where there's a very large group, they have their own political group called the Orion Group, and the humans and other life forms that came together formed the Andromedan Council. And there are others, you know, that are a small part of each of the galaxy, and other galaxies apparently have their own little groups where people come together and decide, you know, what's happening, or they communicate with each other. There's trade, there's bartering, there's a sharing of wisdom, of knowledge, of essences, so that everything can evolve together, and you know, work in an unconditional love type of space.
You're lucky. You're a lucky person, I think. I know you have a very difficult task, but I think you're very lucky to be given this wisdom. I think you're very lucky. When did their interaction with human beings on Earth begin?
1980.
1980?
1980.
And how did that begin, and what was the essence of that interaction?
Okay. It really all evolved around the Pleiadians themselves. Earth has been the subject of discussion for a long time. The real attention and focus really started when we started detonating our first nuclear weapons. We did, as a race. Nuclear weapons had been used here in our ancient past hundreds of thousands of years ago, because there have been wars here between a lot of different factions, predominantly most of them human. The Pleiadians had agreed or offered to come back here and try to help raise the consciousness of the planet. Well, apparently what happened was, when they got here, they were really faced with their past. The Pleiadians had had incredible civil wars amongst themselves, and other wars. And they had just moved into a fourth and fifth density consciousness, and they didn't want to come back here and take the warrior space again. And because of the Greys' involvement here, and the Orions, and a small group from Sirius B, and the Orion group, and a group from Rigel that are here as well, and others, they didn't want to come back here and have to move into warrior space. So they started dragging their feet. In other words, they didn't do as much as they needed to do. Well, as this is occurring, you know, changes in our galaxy are also occurring, and they're moving at a much faster rate. So the Andromedans finally said, well,